Hi there. Welcome back to Master GMAT, and today we're going to show you another critical reasoning question. And basically, this critical reasoning question may be a little tricky for some, and it's usually a bit tricky for most people. It's an inference type question, and we know this through the type of question we have over here, which is which of these best support the following as a conclusion. However, we need to be careful over here. We have to remember what our traps are, what our rules are, and the first thing we need to remember is that we do not need to make such a far jump in order to come to a conclusion. Basically, don't make a huge leap, a huge inference. The next thing to remember is basically the right answer should be of the same tone as in the statement, positive, negative, or neutral, and also, of course, be very, very careful of answer choices that introduce new data or a new premise, because we're not looking for that. We're looking for some kind of conclusion. So those are the three things to keep in mind over here. So those of you who actually want to try it, give it a go, pause the recording, and when you're ready to listen to the explanations, you can do so, and then we'll talk about them together. All right, so pause the recording now. Okay, so welcome back. Now the first thing we need to do is we need to see what's going on over here. And obviously we have two premises over here. The first is that the politician wants to be popular, obviously, by lowering taxes using money borrowed by the federal bank from foreign banks. That's the first thing. The second one in the second sentence is basically that this is analogous to parents who want to show affluence by giving their children money which was borrowed in their children's name. So those are the two premises, and basically we're trying to come up with some kind of conclusion over here, but not a big leap. So we need to basically have a look. In A, the Federal Reserve is borrowing money that will not go to good use. Okay, let's think about this. Does this statement or this proposed conclusion have anything to do with the argument? We're not really told anything about what the public will do with the money, right? So that can't be a conclusion. Remember, we have to stick quite closely to the text, right? If you click on that, you see the time awareness tool that basically comes up. That helps us be super aware of how long it takes us per question. You know, after you've practiced quite a few of these, we click the explanations. Of course, you get a nice little breakdown of the argument, and it reminds you what you're supposed to do. If you're confused, you can always send some kind of commentary, and we'll answer you back within a day or two max. Okay, so we obviously let you try again. We don't just spoon feed you the answer. Let's go to B. In B, the ratio of debt to existing capital of the Federal Reserve is similar to the rate of debt to existing capital, blah, 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 blah. Do we know anything whatsoever about the ratio of debt to existing? Do we know anything about the ratio of debt? Well, we don't know any of that, and that has, therefore, no bearing on the conclusion. Remember, the conclusion has to come from the premises. It can't come from somewhere else. Therefore, this is out as well. In C, the public will eventually have to pay for the debts of the federal bank. Well, in this case, what do we see? We know that the economists compare the politician's plan to a situation in which children will have to pay for the money they received, right? So, this means that the economist's conclusion is that the public will eventually have to pay for the money it received in tax relief. Right? It's an analogy and it makes sense over here, and the money is basically the federal bank's debt to foreign banks. So everything over here seems to make sense in terms of being a conclusion based on the premises we have. But if you're not sure, basically keep it for now. Let's go to D. The Federal Reserve should refrain from borrowing capital from foreign banks and raise resources instead from issuing bonds to the American public. You could say, hold on a second over here, right? It shows an alternate path of action, but this isn't discussed whatsoever, and therefore to conclude that is a bit silly, right? We don't know that kind of recommendation over here. We have no premises to base this on, so not relevant to us. Lastly, the continuing rise in the national debt may lead to the collapse of the American economy. Well, do we have any kind of information whatsoever that would help us determine that? Right? The question of the stability of the American economy is not discussed whatsoever. So concluding that the proposed course of action may lead to the collapse of the American economy is is not just a small step forward, but it's actually a huge leap forward. Remember, in inference questions, we do not want to take big steps forward. We want to take small steps from the premises, and this is way too large. Therefore, the best answer choice seems to be C, and indeed that's the answer. And I hope that was okay for you guys. If you have any questions, you can always throw them our way. Okay, so take care, and until next time, see you.